Good morning, story lovers, and welcome to another episode of Around the World in 40 Tales. My name is Doreen Vanderstoep, and I am here with master storyteller and longtime Storytelling Alberta member, Bethany Ellis. Bethany, welcome, and thank you so much for gifting a story for the
Thanks.
Storytelling Alberta 40th anniversary.
Thanks so much for asking me.
It's wonderful to have you here. Now, before we dive in, I would like to acknowledge that our program is being recorded and Storytelling Alberta operates on the traditional territories of the Indigenous signatories to Treaties 4, 6, 7, 8, and 10. And this land includes the Métis settlements and the Métis Nation of Alberta. We make this declaration in the spirit of gratitude and reconciliation. Now, I just want to tell everyone a little bit more about you, Bethany. Widely traveled with a background in theater and education, Bethany Ellis has taken her tales to England, Asia, and Africa, and across Canada in classrooms, preschools, libraries, senior centers, theaters, behind barns, under trees, and in graveyards. She is the co-founder, playwright, and director of Caraway Story Theatre, which has been in operation for 14 years. She frequently tours schools and libraries with the Young Alberta Book Society, YABS, and is available for school bookings and as an artist in residence to teach storytelling and story theater. Now, you're doing a story today, Bethany, from the Wolof People of Gambia, and I'm going to let you say the title so that I don't butcher it. Please take it away.
Thank you. This is a story called Fari M'Bam. The Wolof people tell a tale of a king whose name was Fari M'Bam. But Fari M'Bam was not the king of the Wolof people. He was the king of the donkeys. And one day, Fari M'Bam, king of the donkeys, got so bored with being Fari M'Bam, king of the donkeys, that he decided that he was going to use some of his donkey magic to change himself into a human. And so he tapped his hoof against the ground. Tap, 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 his hoof became a foot. Tap, 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 his ears went whoop. Tap, 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 his tail went zoop. And he stood up straight because now he was a man. And he said, now my life will be full of adventure because surely humans live more exciting lives than donkeys. And so he hit the road. He left the donkey village and he walked until he came to the first people village. And there he looked up, he looked down, he looked all the way around, and everybody was fighting, quarreling, yelling, screaming. The men were bashing each other. The women were slapping. The children were kicking. And the babies were throwing rocks. Well, thought Fadi Ambam, this is way too exciting for me. I can't live here. And so he left that village. And he walked to the second village, which was called Lek. And at the village of Lek, he looked up, he looked down, he looked all the way around, and he saw, well, not very much, because everybody was sleeping. He heard snores, he saw a few flies, but that was it. Ugh, he thought, if I wanted to be bored, I would have stayed back in the village of the donkey people. I must keep going if I want to find the adventurous life of a human. So he hit the road again. He walked and he walked until he came to the village of Ndofan. And at the village of Indofan, everybody was working. I mean, full out, hardcore, non-stop, industrious work, work, work. The men were working in the fields, hauling up the fishing nets, building homes, making roads. The women were working in the fields. They were cooking, they were selling at market, they were carrying heavy loads on their heads, and all of this with a baby strapped to their back. The children were working in the fields, and they were doing the dishes and washing the clothes, and the babies were sweeping the road. Well, thought Fadi and Bam, a bit of work, that's a good thing. But this is excessive. I can't be happy here. Where's the adventure? Not here. So he left that village too. And he thought, If I cannot find a more exciting life, I am just going to go back and live with my donkey people. Well, finally, he came to the fourth village, the village of Bati, and the sun was going down, and it was a festival. The tables were lined with food. There were musicians, there was dancing, there was singing, there was drumming. Everyone was having fun. And of course, they invited Fari M'Bam to dance with them. And he danced and he danced and he thought, this is the life. And then he saw something that was really exciting. It was a pretty young woman, and she smiled at Fari M'Bam. And Fari M'Bam, he smiled back. And then, there's a bit more smiling. And then there was a bit of talking. And then there was a little bit of hand holding. Then there was a bit of kissing when the papa was not looking. And after that, there was a whole big bunch of getting married. And at the end of 15 years, Fari M'Bam and his wife were living still in the village of Bati, and now they had 5 sons. But meanwhile, back at the donkey village, the donkey people were having a donkey dilemma that only a donkey king could solve. And they got together and said, "Oh, we need a king." And someone said, "Hey, don't we have a king? Oh yeah, that guy. What's his name again? Bubba Fuffa. No. Fuffa Bubba? No. Fari M'Bam. That's it, Fari M'Bam. But where is he? Where did he go? And why does our king not return? We need to organize a search party. So all of the he donkeys and the she donkeys and the donkey colts, they all got together, and they used their donkey magic, and they struck the ground with their hoofs 3 times. Tap, 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 their hooves became feet. Tap, 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 their ears went whoop. Tap, 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 their tails went zoop. And they turned into men and women and boys and girls, and they hit the road. They walked and walked till they came to the first village where everybody was still fighting. But they took out the drums they had brought with them, and they began to play the drums and dance and sing. Fari M'Bam, Fari M'Bam, who has seen Fari M'Bam? Fari M'Bam, Fari M'Bam, king of the donkeys. And those villagers stopped fighting. They came and they listened and they danced and they sang along. And finally one said, "You're looking for Fari M'Bam? I know him. He lives, well, if you just keep going down the road, you'll find his village." "Oh," said the donkey people, "thank you. Our king is alive. Thank you. Salam alaikum. May peace be upon you all," they said to the villagers. They hit the road. They came to the next village, the village of Lek, where the people were still sleeping. They took out their drums and began to play, and the people were sleeping no more. They came and they joined in the singing and the dancing, and one of them said, "You're looking for Fari M'Bam? We know him. Yeah, he lives a couple villages over. He is married. Oh, his wife is gorgeous. But you know what? His wife probably doesn't want to hear you singing about how her husband is king of the donkeys. No. But the donkey people said, "Our king has a queen. Our king is nearby. Thank you. Salam alaikum. May peace be upon you all." And they went to the next village. And at the village of Indopafan, the people were still working hard. But not for long, because soon they joined in the dancing and the singing, and one of them said, "Hey, if you are looking for Fari M'Bam, he lives just in the next village. He is married. He's got 5 good-looking boys." But you know what? His 5 sons probably don't want to hear you singing about how their papa is king of the donkeys. And the donkey people said, "Woohoo! Our king has 5 sons, 5 princes." Thank you, salam alaikum, may peace be upon you all. And they ran to the village of Batihai, and they set up their drums and began to dance and sing, Fari M'Bam, Fari M'Bam, who has seen Fari M'Bam? And in a courtyard, not too far from the village square, there was a man and his 5 sons. And they were just sitting and dipping their hands into the midday meal of rice and fish. They were just bringing the food to their mouths when they heard, Fari M'Bam, Fari M'Bam, king of the donkeys. And Fari M'Bam dropped his food, and he stood up and he said, Wife, I have got to go. She said, What are you talking about? We've just sat down to this lovely meal. Where would you go? Why would you go? And he said, well, you know how, well, when people get married, they sometimes have secrets from each other. Yeah, well, my secret is I am a king. That's right, madame. You are married to a king. I'm king of the donkeys. And it would appear the donkey people have come because they need me, and now I have to go and become a donkey again and live with them. No, she said, you are not the king of anything. You are my husband. You are the papa of these 5 fine-looking boys. You will sit down and finish your lunch. Yes, ma'am, he said. But then he heard again, Fari M'Bam, Fari M'Bam, king of the donkeys. And he stood up and said, Oh, wife, I am sorry, but the donkey drums are calling and I must follow. And he left his family home. But then it got worse because the 5 boys, they all stood up and they said, Mama, Mama, we too, we need to go and live with our papa's people. And she said, No, no, you are my boys. I am your boss. I am your mother. Because if you leave, I will no longer be a mother. Mama, we have no choice, they said. And they left her. And they joined their father and the other donkey people in the village square, and they all used some of their donkey magic. And they tapped their feet against the ground. Tap, 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 their feet became hooves. Tap, 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 their ears grew long. Tap, 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 their tails grew longer. And they all became he-donkeys and she-donkeys and donkey colts. And all of the donkey people began galloping away from the village of Batihai. But that mother, she was not finished with this. She began to run faster than she had ran even before she had given birth 5 times, faster than a herd of galloping donkeys. She stood in front of them and said, Stop! You will not take my men. And Fari M'Bam, with his great big old donkey head, he trotted over and he said, Oh, wife, oh, I am so, so sorry. But let me explain. I have lived for 15 years as a human, and I need to live in a donkey's body now, or I will sicken and die. And it is the same for our 5 sons. But I still have a bit of donkey magic left, and if you should choose, I can use it to turn you into a donkey. You'd be queen of the donkeys. Oh, and now the wife of Fari M'Bam had to decide. She looked down the road, her home, her people, her history, all her stories, all the things that she felt comfortable with. And then she looked around the field at all these donkeys. But then she looked beyond the big donkeys to the back where she saw 5 donkey colts galloping and kicking each other and biting each other and rolling on the ground, fighting like brothers will do. And her heart swelled with pride and she said, Oh, Oh, those are the most beautiful donkey colts this world has ever seen. And then she looked at her husband with his great big old donkey head, and she thought, I think I always knew I was married to a donkey. So she struck her foot against the ground. Tap, 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 her feet became hooves. Tap, 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 her ears grew long. Tap, 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 her tail grew longer. And she became queen of the donkeys. And all of the donkey people galloped back to the donkey village. And since that time, the Wolof people say, be careful who you marry. Don't ever marry a stranger. You must get to know their family because you might end up married to a donkey. Thank you for listening.
And thank you for your story, Bethany. That was wonderful. And of course, beautifully told as always. For those who want to reach the ever engaging Bethany Ellis, please, you can contact her at info@storytellingalberta.com. And don't forget to check out all of our story offerings for our 40th anniversary, including our tribute tales on our website, storytellingalberta.com. Thank you all for joining us today. And of course, join us again next week when we will have another tale to tell. Thanks, Bethany.
Great. You're very welcome. Have a great day.
You too.